2013년 스타크래프트2 리그의 정상에 섰던 최강자들이 펼치는 마지막 전쟁. 대한민국 e스포츠의 대표 브랜드이자 다양한 e스포츠 대회 공식 후원에 앞장서고 있는 핫6가 마련한 최고의 대결이 시작된다. 2013 스타크래프트2 국내 리그의 우승, 준우승자들로 꾸며지는 HOT6ix CUP은 8강 토너먼트로 펼쳐진다. 12월 4일 8강전을 시작으로 12월 6일 4강전, 12월 8일 세종대학교 대양홀에서 펼쳐질 대망의 결승전까지 총 나흘간 펼쳐질 최고의 축제 2013 HOT6ix CUP 라스트 빅매치. 자유의 날개 최후의 우승자 신노열, 집념과 인내로 무장한 최고의 저그 강동현, WCS와 GSL 랭킹 1위에 빛나는 김민철, 스타리그 최연소 로열로더 조성주, 스타리그 2연속 결승 진출에 빛나는 정윤종, GSL과 WCS 시즌3 파이널 2연속 재패 백동준, 팀 저그 최초 결승 진출 우승자 킬러로 거듭난 어연스, 노병은 죽지 않는다 WCS 시즌2 파이널 우승자 최지성. 별들의 전쟁에서 살아남아 2013년 최고의 선수로 기록된 스타크래프트2의 최강자는 과연 누가 될 것인가. 2013 HOT6ix CUP 라스트 빅매치.
Welcome to the HOT6ix CUP, the last big tournament for 2013 here in Korea. I am Wolf, and I get to be with Artosis today. I'm very lucky, I'm very happy.
Lucky you with Artosis today. It's going to be a lot of fun, Wolf. I always have a lot of fun casting with you. Today should be no exception with these awesome matches that we have.
Yeah, we got two amazing TVZs coming out, and I love when I get two of the same matchup in a day of a cast, because then I get to see basically how both Zergs differentiate and both Terrans differentiate in the same matchup, how their styles differ from game to game, and I really love that.
Yeah, it is quite a bit of fun. Yep, we're back there, up in the crowd, guy. Hi there. Yeah. So, of course, if you come down to the studio, you can get a headset, you can listen to us.
Yeah,
as you can see.
All you need is an ID, something to put down while you take it. It's absolutely recommended.
If you don't have an ID, maybe you can leave your shoes or something. You're not going to leave in the winter without shoes,
Yeah,
right?
maybe your wallet or
Could be, yeah.
your subway card or something you can't get home.
All right, so we are actually going to have an interview starting up pretty soon here with all four players.
Yeah, just like yesterday.
A couple really great matches. Maru vs. Sue and Bomber vs. Sulky.
I think everybody really wants to see Bomber play. He's just got so much foreign fandom right now.
Well, Bomber is just cool, man. He's just such a cool guy. And going up against Sulky, in my opinion, the best surgeon in the world.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that about him. And he's just got a huge fan base in Korea as well. I feel like Bomber has the most foreign fan base right now out of these four players, but Maru also has this fan base for being such a young player who did so well back in WCS. And everyone's wondering, is he going to be able to continue that, or is he kind of falling off? Because he's struggled a little bit compared to that one dominant run that he had. Sure.
네, 많은 분들이
We have an interview here now.
인사 한마디 해주시죠.
Starting things off with Sue.
텔레콤 T1 저그 어윤수입니다.
So he's introducing himself to the fans.
사실 어윤수 선수가 늘 16강 벽에 막히다가 16강을 뚫어내고 결승까지 가면서 준우승을 차지했어요. 그 이후에 어윤수 선수에 대한 평가가 많이 달라지고 인기도 많이 올라간 것으로 알고 있는데 어떤 그런 인지도 실감을 하십니까?
So do people think differently now of you that you've been a finalist?
구체적으로 어떤 면에서 좀 실감을 하십니까?
일단 응원해 주시는 분들이 많이 늘어났고 그리고 알아보시는 분들도 많이 늘어난 것 같아요.
저도 한번 우승을 해야겠네요.
I gained a lot more fans,
알아주시는 분이 많이 없어서.
and a lot more people now know who I am.
자, 첫 상대가 조성주 선수입니다. 가장 최근 경기에서 패했던 선수고 시즌3 파이널 16강에서 패배를 했었는데 팀 동료 정윤종 선수를 꺾고 우승한 조성주 선수거든요. 오늘 제대로 한번 꺾어주고 싶다라는 마음이 있을 텐데 어떻습니까? 조성주 선수에게 한마디 해주시죠, 경기 전에.
You recently lost tomorrow. How do you feel about playing him here in the first round of the HOT6ix CUP?
진 거는 제가 못 참거든요.
네.
그래서 이번에 꼭 복수하도록 하겠습니다.
좋습니다. 오윤 선수의 뜨거운 복수.
Last time in the season finals, I wanted revenge.
약간 입술이
So he's gonna try to get that revenge for the HOT6ix CUP.
불길이 타오르고 있는 것 같은데요. 우리 조성주 선수와도 바로 이야기를 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 굉장히 오랜만에 뵙는 것 같습니다. 조성주 선수도 팬 여러분들께 인사 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 프라임 테란 조성주.
Maru introducing himself to fans.
감사합니다.
So nice
이렇게
applause
볼 때
there.
너무나 귀여운 느낌도 나고 너무나 잘생긴 느낌도
One of
나는데
the
경기 안에만
best young
들어가면
players we have in Korea right now. So much potential, so much talent.
핫식스컵이 올해 마지막
Reminds me of
대회입니다.
Young Flash.
우승컵 하나 더
Yeah,
가져가야죠.
you know, he really
우승
has
확률
so much
몇 퍼센트
similarity with him.
예상하십니까?
And also reminds me of Baby a little bit too.
A little bit.
우승 생각은 별로 안 하고 있고 바로 앞에 있는 어연수 선수를 이기도록 하겠습니다.
오, 우승도 중요하지만
So he says he's not really thinking about becoming the champion of the HOT6ix CUP just yet. He's really just focused on his match against Sue, his first game he's going to play here. So he's thinking baby steps essentially. He doesn't want to think too big too early.
오늘 경기를
I really
가져가는
respect
선수가
that.
3대2로 앞서가게 되거든요.
Always take things one
한마디
pace
해주셔야
at a
될 것
time.
같습니다. 복수해 준다는데.
복수는 못할 것 같아요.
복수는 그냥 끝날 것 같다라고 조성주 선수가 또 이야기를 해줬습니다.
Basically,
어윤 선수
he
죄송합니다.
thinks that
인터뷰 기회가
he's
없습니다.
not going to be able to avenge his loss.
자,
Sue wanted to get
다음은
revenge, of
최희성
course, he said in
선수와
his interview.
또 이야기를
And Maru's
나눠보도록
basically saying,
하겠습니다.
I don't think he's going to be
사실
able to
최희성
do it. Not going to be
선수가
easy for him.
파이널에서 우승을 했을 때 우리 중계진 중에 한 분이 뜨거운 눈물을 흘렸어요. 그 이야기 전에 들으셨습니까?
네, 알고 있습니다.
그 이야기를 들었을 때 어땠나요? 저라면 소름 끼쳤을 것 같은데요.
사실
When Bomber won in the finals, one of the Korean casters was actually in tears, and he wants to know how he feels about that.
약간 놀라면서 오히려 더
I
열심히
actually
해야
hadn't heard that.
되겠다라는
That's actually kind of
생각도
inspirational.
드셨나봐요.
It's very sweet.
별다른 생각은
그런 건 없었고요. 예, 아름답게 마무리를 하고 싶었는데 그렇지 않았군요. 사실 이준영 선수가 이 대회 참가 자격이 있었는데 차순위로
He's quite good friends with the Korean caster, but he was shocked
소감을
to
한번
hear that
들어봐야
he
될 것 같아요.
cried in
이
front of the
소식을
camera.
전해드렸을 때
Yeah,
어떤 느낌 들었습니까?
that's actually got to be really cool as a player to have a friend who's a commentator and to see that he gets emotional about your play. And you know that the fans out there are also feeling the same way.
그렇습니다. 또 어렵게 잡은
Bomber is a
기회만큼
great
잘
story.
살리리라라는
he
생각이 드는데
certainly is.
오늘
All
첫
the way from
상대가
StarCraft 1 to
강력합니다.
StarCraft 2.
진짜 최근에 미친 듯한 상승세를 보여주고 있는 김민철 선수거든요. 한마디 해주셔야 될 것 같습니다. 경기 전에 기선제압 시원하게 해주시죠.
So basically, he's just talking about
패치
him being switched with innovation
대회 두
that
개를
replaces him for
강타라고
this tournament.
하는데.
Asking Bomber about that.
이번
Well,
마지막
innovation normally beats Sulky. Maybe Bomber can do the same.
Yeah.
이기고 싶습니다.
좋습니다. 아무래도 이 비가 온 뒤에 땅이
So he said he got knocked out early
분들께서 또
twice
박수를
in foreign
보내주고
tournaments,
계십니다.
and
자,
he's
그러면
looking
김민철
forward
선수
to
또 이야기를 해봐야 될 텐데 그 전에 앞서서
trying to get another championship before the year
WCG
ends and to show better
축하드립니다.
play in this tournament. Just has another
감사합니다.
opportunity, so he's very happy about that.
진짜 최근에 대회 우승자하면 김민철이고 김민철이 랭킹 1위 지금 다 찍고 있거든요. 팬 여러분들께 일단 여기 오랜만에 또 곰TV 스튜디오 오셨으니까 인사 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 금메달리스트
It's been a long time since you've come to the studio.
맞죠?
he says hello, I'm
금메달리스트
the gold
맞습니다.
medalist,
연금이 안
Sulky.
나올 뿐 맞아요. 금메달리스트.
Just ask him to,
자,
say
올
things
들어
to the
세계
fans.
첫
He hasn't been in the
우승도
studio in a
했고 메이저
while.
대회 결승만 3번 올랐고 WCS, GSL 랭킹 1위. 와, 진짜 올 한해 최고의 한 해를 보냈는데요. 100점 만점에 몇 점 정도를 주시겠습니까? 올 한해 자신의 성적.
올 한해 제가 6월부터 좀 군단의 심장부터 잘했기 때문에 한 70점 정도 주고 싶어요.
70점이요?
So
70점의 랭킹
he
1위를
started playing a lot better after Heart of the Storm was released.
상금을 그렇습니다.
So he gives himself
내년에는 또
a 70
상금까지 챙겨가는
points
한 해가
out of
되시길
100
바라겠고, 또
for this year's
핫식스컵도 상금이
performance. So a 7
달려있거든요.
out of 10
이번 대회
basically
임하는
for what
각오가
he feels
만만치
his
않을
potential
텐데
could have been this
뜨거운
year.
각오 한마디 팬 여러분들께 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 이제 이번 해 마지막 대회인데 마지막 우승자라는 그런 인식이 남게 대회를 마무리하고 싶거든요. 꼭 우승하도록 하겠습니다.
네,
This is the last
감사합니다.
tournament of this year.
이
I want to be
최강의
remembered
네
as the
선수와
final
이야기를
champion.
나누니까 오늘 경기가
So he's
더욱더
trying his
기대가
best to
됩니다.
win
이
this
네 명의
tournament for
선수에게
that
뜨거운
reason.
박수 함성 보내주시고요. 잠시 후에 경기 속으로 찾아뵙도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
All right, that concludes our interview. These 4 players. Not a whole lot of trash talk, but some interesting insights of some motivations, I feel like.
You know, I'm looking at this 4 players, and I remember the 4 players from yesterday, of course, and the 2 Protoss that did advance.
2014 HOT6ix CUP Last Big Match Round 8 SK텔레콤 T1 Sue Maru Prime Wongjin Star Sulky Star Tail Bomber
Anyways, as I was saying,
You got interrupted by a CG there, but it's all good.
yeah, I know. I feel like just the finals of this is going to be epic no matter what. Like, no matter what it is, no matter who gets it. Like, we could have a Maru Rain rematch. we could have a Deer Sue rematch, or, you know, there's just so many possibilities.
Basically, the way this tournament is you've got all the best players, so no matter what, you're going to have finalists playing against each other or champions playing against each other, and it's going to be an epic finals. And if you think about it even more closely, it's almost as if every round itself is a mini finals to decide who's going to go to the finals. So it's kind of like a reassessment of where everybody is from where they were to get to this point, to get as many points to qualify for this tournament.
We're finding out a lot through that. For instance, the two players that made the finals of the first tournament of the year both got slaughtered yesterday, right? Like, Ro8 did all right, but Symbol just got slammed. So
it was rough for those Zerg players yesterday, and it's, like I said, kind of a reassessment of where are they now compared to what they once were when they were able to win those tournaments. So I think that today could be a really good assessment as well of where Solky is at, especially. Is he going to be able to do well? And Sue, you know, he took that second place recently, but he wants revenge, and he's got that motivation, and I really like that.
And you know what? What do you think about the matches today? How do these go? Maru versus Sue, what do you think?
I think if Maru prepared really special builders and he plays his style where he hits timings and specific strategies rather than just playing a macro game where he's going to try to win out, I think he'll win. But if he's trying to just switch his style completely, if he wants to be a little bit less predictable and try to play for macro games or try to play a different type of composition like mech, I don't know if I like his chances against Sue.
Okay, and how about the other matchup here, Bomber versus Sulky? Now, if I recall correctly, Bomber actually knocked Sulky out of BlizzCon.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big deal. But as he said recently, he's been getting slammed mostly by Scarlet.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's a top Zerg in the entire world. What do you think about Bomber's chances against Sulky, who's probably the best Zerg?
For me, I feel like Sulky is the best Zerg in this tournament right now, and he came off a really good performance at WCG, we just saw, and with how he's been playing and how on fire he's been in the builds he's been choosing and his ability to be reactionary in a best-of series, I think if Bomber is not feeling good, he's not feeling motivated, he might have some really big trouble against Sulky here.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this, the match results from yesterday. Rain 3-0'd Symbol. It was really brutal. And Deer went 3-1 against Ro8, but that definitely could have gone to Game 5. Absolutely could have. It was actually a pretty close one, a reasonable match. Today, of course, as we were saying, Sue versus Maru. You said you were feeling Maru if he plays his style. And then Bomber versus Sulky.
Yeah, I basically feel like if Bomber is on the money, you know, Bomber is considered to be one of the most inconsistent pro gamers of all time because when he's off, like, he looks like really off, but when he's on, it's like that's Bomber, that's what everybody loves. And Sulky is really consistent when it comes to how good he's playing during a certain period, and I've seen Sulky play really, really well and take out top Korean players just recently. So if Bomber is feeling a little bit sick or feeling a little bit tired, if he's not in the best condition, I worry for him here.
I do have to agree with you there, man. He has to bring his absolute A-game. Speaking of A-game, get on your A-game and buy a GOMEXP ticket.
Yeah, you know, there's up to 11% of a discount right now. I tweeted about this yesterday. You've got a chance to win a keyboard, and you get the subscription for this tournament for free. So you've got a brief period of time where you can get on this, get this extra deal, get the yearly subscription, however long it takes you to think about it. But if you get it right now, you get that discount, so I recommend it.
And you can get your Christmas shopping out of the way, because this is what everyone wants as their stocking stuffer. You know what? No, as their main gift, but it fits in a stocking, because you just write a piece of paper, like, here's your login ID for your ticket.
Exactly. So definitely get on that and get your friends to get on that as well. Well, here's Sue's information. He's ranked 24th currently in WCS, and he's got an above 50% win ratio in 2013, and that's always pretty good because he's playing the highest level league in the entire world. So anything above 50 means this is a top player we're talking about here.
Certainly. You know, he didn't really get to show us too much. He didn't make it to BlizzCon. WCS Season 3 Finals wasn't his most successful tournament. Really, he had that one outstanding run to the finals of the last WCS Korea. So, hasn't been able to show us as much as some of these other guys lately.
Yeah, well, that season was kind of, for me, the season of Sue. It was his best performance we've seen out of him so far. He always surprises me. I never expect him to do as well as he does, and that's what makes him really scary to me as a player in this tournament.
Well, I love how he can switch up and be really aggressive. You know, he's a little bit unpredictable in that regard. But this guy can be too.
Yeah.
Maru brings a lot of different styles to the table. We have seen him do plenty of mech builds. We've seen him do plenty of rushes. We've seen him play macro games, just constant aggression. There's a lot that he can do. This guy's kind of becoming a full package Terran.
Absolutely. He was considered in his very first days of pro gaming to be an all-in player, a cheesy player. He really turned it around, became one of the best macro Terrans, but always with aggression, never just sitting back and trying to get up the production, but always being aggressive constantly throughout the game. He's so great at that. He's also really good at all-in still. He still has that in his bag of tricks.
Oh, take a look. These are the things that they've done this year.
Yeah.
The achievement lists, I guess.
As you can see, Maru just done a little bit more.
He certainly has. Look, that's so solid. Top 4 at BlizzCon. Top 4 at the WCS Season 3 Finals. Top 4 in Codas. Winning Season 2 Star League. Like, this guy just has killed it for the second half of this year. Killed it.
Yeah. I
He's-
mean,
he's been one of the absolute best.
everybody was saying, well, after he won, then he went to the round of 16, like, oh, I guess he's slumping. Maybe he was a one-hit wonder. But look at the consistency here. I mean, it's incredible. So really, really nice play from him, and he's never really fallen off. He won a championship, and he always looked good. He was always a big contender every single tournament he's played in.
As we can see here in the Season 3 Finals, Maru actually took Sue down. So it's kind of maybe a precursor to what we see here today.
Yeah, maybe so. And Sue losing to Jokchi as well here, as you can see. So that's something to keep in mind. Just another Terran player that he lost to recently. And I feel like actually you can compare Jokchi and Maru's style a lot sometimes with the aggressive play we see from Jokchi.
Kind of. I would say that Maru is like kind of a leveled up Jokchi.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He's more refined.
Well, let's take a look at this map set. It's going to be Yonsu, Whirlwind, Star Station, Polar Knight, and Frost. What do you think about that, Wolf?
Well, I like Frost a lot. You and I talked a little about this last night. It's not your favorite map, but
It's not my favorite to play, but I do not mind casting it too much, I guess.
it's a really big map. It allows for a lot of different dynamic play. It's interesting that neither of these players have ever played a televised match on Star Station, so I guess that doesn't affect either of them. And it looks like, I mean, generally speaking, if you look at these stats, the only thing that really comes out to me glaringly is that Sue has done not so well on Whirlwind. He's 5 and 8 in total, and that's kind of one thing that sticks out, as well as his Frost score at 1 and 3. So those kind of stick out to me a little bit. See if he can focus on those maps.
It's interesting as well because those are pretty big maps. Those are maps that you would expect a Zerg to do maybe a little bit better on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first map is Yunsu, and I'm really excited for this. I feel like whoever wins the first game kind of sets the pace because both these two players usually use really aggressive strategies, and if one gets that early momentum, then that's when Sue or Maru, whoever loses, is going to have to go and talk to the coach and say, I know we had a special build for game 2, but do I stick with that or do I change it up here because he played like this in game number 1?
Oh, well, we'll have to see there. You know, I like that Sue probably does have some specific builds planned, but I feel like against Maru, you're going to have to play kind of reactionarily as well because he can mix in so much and he gets so aggressive. And if you can't be bendable as a Zerg player against Maru, he is going to just crush you.
Yeah, that's what he does. If he finds one crack, one weakness, he goes in hard. Big drop play, massive aggression in the middle of the map. Great timings to clear up creep with scans. Very, very aggressive Terran player. Also can play that defensive mech style though as well.
Should be starting this in just a moment. You know, I've been thinking about this match all day and who's going to win this. I'm barely siding with Maru. 3-2.
All right, well, let's find out right now who's going to take game 1 at the HOT6ix CUP, the last big tournament of the year. Wolf and Artosis.
All right, down here in the bottom left, our Zerg player from SKT1. He is
SK Telecom T1 Sue.
Always a surprising player sometimes with his results.
Indeed he is. Up in the top right, the youngest champion.
Maru Prime.
People hiding on from the camera, we still see you.
A lot more people came in today.
Yeah.
It's you know, I think that's just the star level of these players.
I think a lot more may even join in later when Bomber plays, just because he's so high profile and because he does so well overseas.
Bomber versus Sulky is like pretty fantastic. What do you think is actually the best match from this whole round of 8, including the matches from yesterday? And not how they actually turned out, but out of the 4 matches in the round of 8, which one do you think, Wolf, is like the match where you're like, ooh, this is a close one, this is an awesome one?
Well, before I can answer that, I'm going to say this is a pretty cool picture.
It doesn't look much like Maru.
Or like Sue. That looks like me when I'm playing. But I feel like, for me, the match between Bomber and Sulky is the biggest one, the most high profile, the one that's perhaps the highest hype. Not even necessarily the highest skill level, but possibly even the highest skill level. It depends on how on fire Bomber is, because Bomber is one of those players, like I said earlier, who's either on fire or he looks a little bit off.
Okay. I actually feel like this match might be the closest one in the entire round.
Closest one, like the one that could go either way the most.
Yeah. This is the one that I'm really having the hardest time with. Like, I really did think both Protosses would end up winning. Maybe not as hard as they did yesterday. But for today, I'm like, well, I think Sulky's going to kill Bomber. I really do. And this one, though, it's a little bit harder for me.
Shout out to Bright members in Holland. Shout outs to them. Thank you for coming to the studio here. Glad to have you. So we have Bomber actually, or rather Maru. I started talking about Bomber, I got confused. Second Reaper coming out, so he's committing 100 gens to that.
Just going to get those Reapers out, figure out what's going on. And I don't mind him opening up with Reaper openings against Sue. Sue can be a very unpredictable player. So to grab those Reapers, he's going to be able to figure out what's going on pretty quickly.
Yeah, and he's going to 100% be able to identify the gas and if it's being mined and how much is mined if he comes back in later. And these early, it's not going to be able to get anything done really until the queens are out. So I guess he's just going to sit down here and wait until he can find some drones to pick off, force some spore cancels. So he needs to be on top of that. And here we go. He's going to go for that first drone right away.
A little bit annoying there for Sue, but easily chases back this Reaper. Yeah. Reaper not being able to get any kills so far, but, you know, as you said, Wolf, it is delaying some mining time a little bit, forcing a few Zerglings here and there as well.
This Overlord is actually getting fairly low. He needs to actually be careful with these Reapers, too. Microing at 2 places at once. Does get chased away. He's not actually able to go into the main base and identify if gas has been taken. That's something he is going to want to go and check for pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see if he jumps up at some point. Now we do have the factory going down and a starport as well. Quite a quick starport. What do you think about this?
I think it could be for Banshee Tech potentially.
He does have double gas right now.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like the old Wings of Liberty type of opening where you get the reactor on the barracks swap and have the barracks make a tech lab and have the starport. And there's that tech lab. I think probably going to be Banshees, but no cloak.
Oh, you think no cloak?
Well, it's hard to say.
I'm kind of feeling cloak here, to be honest.
A lot of the time, players will go Banshee and then cancel the cloak if the Overlord comes in.
Yeah.
And he did keep the Overlord away, so that's something to consider as well.
Well, did the Overlord see 2 gases? Because that definitely can be one of the deciders on it.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Well, he's going to go in here and check right now. And there's the starport down on the tech lab.
And, well, there is cloak.
Okay,
but
there's cloak.
As this Overlord pops in, we're going to have to see if Maru wants to keep the cloak or not.
Ooh, and he hides the Overlord, so Maru doesn't know that he knows, and that's really smart.
Yeah. That's very well done. Well, a Banshee Hellion opening. Welcome back, Wings of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly. The thing about this opening is that sometimes it can force a Zerg player to even cancel his third base if he's trying to take a really greedy one.
That's very true. Like, if you're kind of just staying on Zerglings for a bit, that can be an issue. But we don't actually see the third base started quite yet.
Yeah, he's going into lair even so quickly here.
Well, the quick lair is pretty reasonable against us. And in fact, if he rushes up to Mutalisks, that is something that we saw popping up towards the end of Wings of Liberty when people were using builds like this quite often without a lot of anti-airs, Terran.
Yeah, and it can really, really shut down the aggression so quickly. Double armory. Okay, Maru's doing it.
Awesome.
This is your favorite thing in the world. I also like it quite a bit.
Yeah. It goes mech and then my baby. Those are my favorite things. Mech. This is going to be a lot of fun because Maru knows how to mech even before all the buffs that all the buffs, the siege tank buff. He was using mech a fair amount.
Yeah.
Now this was back when Hellbats did a bit more damage, but I'm excited to see like exactly which type of mech push he goes for. Is he going to go for a long game? Is he going to go for quick timing? Because normally when Maru plays mech, he does go for the quicker timing attack.
He's also getting a few Marines out here just to be safe, which I really, really like. He's not cutting those out of his build completely. Not getting a whole lot of damage done here with all these queens, but the player that I think has had the most success with mech recently in Korea is probably Supernova. He's used it in all matchups, and Maru goes for a fast Thor here. He's doing double upgrades, of course, those armories. And the Mutalists, the first few, depending on how they're microed, can still do damage.
Yeah.
But he's definitely going to want to switch tech right as soon as he sees those Thors out.
I do have to agree with you on that. You want to just have enough Mutalists to make sure that they do have the Thor and they are a little bit careful about moving out. But you're probably going to want to switch into Roaches from there. Yeah. Otherwise, you know, the Thors and Hellions are going to just slaughter everything.
And there's just no information right now for Su yet about this. He sees the Banshee. He knows the possibility is definitely there because these types of builds are getting more popular. But he really, really needs to identify this. And those first 6 Mutas will absolutely do that. There's a scan here to reveal some creep.
And that's pretty reasonable, actually. He gets 3 active tumors. And of course, that's going to utilize more of the energy on those Queens. And believe it or not, Transfusion's actually going to come into play most likely against Mech.
Yeah, definitely so. Alright, so the Mutalists now are scouted. And he's seeing this actually for Su, still doesn't let him know he's up against a mech composition. He only sees just a few of these units.
That's right, and he's actually getting Baneling speed right now, which, while Baneling speed definitely an important upgrade, no matter what, Baneling's oftentimes not as popular against mech. So when he sees this...
He might even cancel Baneling speed, I think.
It's a possibility.
There's no way he's thinking, okay, this is just one Thor, and it's just going to be like one Thor into regular bio play, and he's thinking it's like a super safe Thor. He's got to realize what's happening.
Yeah, I would say so. He's pretty sure of it, and in fact, wait, did he cancel the Baneling speed? I think he let it finish.
Yeah, I think he's letting it finish.
But he did grab the Roach Horn as soon as he saw that Thor, so he realizes that he's going to have some more sturdy units out there than Zerglings and Mutas.
The turrets here up just in time. One of them does get taken out there, but with these really fast upgrades for Maru, he's going to be able to secure this third base almost for free because the Roach Warren is so late. What can Su actually do to attack this directly? It's basically impossible for him right now.
Yeah, I would say that Su is not going to be on the offensive. I think he needs to focus on spreading his creep. He needs to focus on forcing out as much defense and being as threatening as possible with these Mutalisks, because if he can keep the pressure on and kind of scare Maru into being a little bit more passive, that's going to give him enough time to actually macro up his Roaches, and at this point we see he's even going to grab some Hydras.
Yeah, Hydras can be really useful to add into the mix as well because they have that range, and before there are a lot of siege tanks out, they can do so much damage. They're okay against Thors if you can get them in the right spot.
As long as there's Roaches in front of Hydras, the Hydra is a fantastic unit.
Yeah.
Once those go away, it becomes
well
a little bit more questionable.
He actually finds a sweet spot here where there's no turrets. He's actually been able to cancel 2 depots there, or at least stop their production temporarily. Goes to the main base, and Maru, I think, was feeling too safe with the placement of his turrets and his Thors. And despite the fact we have so many Thors and so many turrets, there's not in the right place. And I can't believe he's dropping Mules here. One of them would certainly be targeted. The second one probably going to be knocked down as well.
These Mutas have really been worth their weight in gold here, having killed, what is that, 12 SCVs and 2 Mules so far, as well as forcing cancels on turrets. This is awesome, and they keep going.
Yeah,
he doesn't need these.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't, so he's making the best of it that he can, and he even still had supply depot is not completed. He slows that down a little bit more. Don't think he's going to get anything done here at the third base, but that was
awesome.
That was the best he could have gotten out of the Mutalists, essentially.
And you know what? Now that he's done that economical damage, he is taking a couple more expansions at the moment. His creep spread's looking fantastic. His upgrades are looking really nice. A little bit behind the mech upgrades, but still very nice upgrades coming up for Su. And he's even getting his infestation pit. Yeah. So I do expect him to tech up into the hive and probably grab some Vipers rather quickly.
Yeah, Vipers are going to be so essential against this composition, especially against the siege tanks. And you can also just do some yanks on the big units, like on the Thors, and target those down with your Hydras and your Roaches. So basically that's ideal for him. Getting Broodlords out is a little bit more difficult, and he has to be careful about when he wants that, when he wants to show that.
And don't forget those upgrades are now shared, so Vikings are really going to start slaughtering off Broodlords without upgrades. But he's getting the +1 air attack, and I think this is for a Mutalisk tech switch. Once he kills off all the Thors, if you switch into Mutas again really quickly, they oftentimes don't build the Thors again.
Yeah, and they don't expect it usually, because if you don't... I mean, if you're able to get the Mutalisk count up that high and you wait and you do that surprise tech, it's basically the only way Mutas are going to work against this competition. You're never going to have Mutas as a support unit with this. And he's trying to pick off anything he can get, and I love that he has his creep pushed so far up that he's able to do little things like this. He's like, okay, your tanks aren't siege. Let me see if I can pick off a Thor, or maybe get one siege tank here and then just run away because I'm on creep. I've got that speed boost.
Well, I have to say, I am loving this game so far. As our wonderful observer, Heaven, just pointed out, 38 larvae at the moment. He's really, really stockpiling, trying to save his money. Notice his supply is really low, but he's maxed on Overlords.
Yeah.
This is such a smart move because he doesn't have to actually decide what to do until the very last second against a slow mech army like this.
Yeah, basically what he's saying is, I'm not going to show my hand, and then you can switch into the composition to counter me. I'm going to wait until your composition is fully developed, and then you can't switch your composition.
30 mutas,
mutas,
man. And in fact, it looks like Maru's kind of keen on what's going on. He's been making Vikings, and he's even adding 2 more Thors. But he's going to have to be careful here. That many Thors is very dangerous, but 30 mutas just... they are going to be all over the place.
It's all about the targeting with the mutas, how well he can magic box these Thors if he wants to engage those, or if he's just going to run circles around this mech army until he's forced to engage.
Well, I think he's just... this is going to turn into a base trade scenario. I don't see any way around it. You know what? With this many mutas, though,
he's going to try
for
for it.
Thors,
It looks like.
If he had 2 more there, maybe he'd have a chop. But these Thors are going to be taken out just so quickly. And this is a great move from Su.
Yeah, and now we can actually clean up the siege tanks so easily. There's no way for them to even retreat or go home. And this,
I mean, that's...
I mean, this destroys this entire push.
Yeah. You know, having just the 3 Thors there, that was actually really well done by Su. So smart of him to bank up all that money.
And now he's just trying to target down drones, trying to make these units worth something. But the damage has already been done to his army, which he cannot replace. As a Terran player, if your composition is already complete and all you have is 5 Thors and 2 of them aren't even with your army, you can't see mutas and go, oh, wait a minute, I'll make a few Thors really quick and try to walk home. It just doesn't work that way. So really strategic move here by Su to go for the muta switch.
I love the banking and just making all your overlords and deciding last thing. He only lost 1 base there. He's still got a ton of mutalists. Here they come, going into the 3rd base.
He can kill this command serve probably if he wants to target it.
4 Thors are about to pop out, so it's not like he's going to die right this second, but I almost feel like the game is already over with how much damage he's done.
He just has all the momentum right now. He's totally controlling this. He's losing a lot of mutalists, though the repair on the Thor is good. It does have +2 armor.
And he actually does have to run out there. That was...
ooh, and he stacks the mutas. He's taking way too much damage here.
He lost a ton of mutas. He actually had over 30 mutas there. Now he's down to 12.
A little bit overzealous there, trying to get those last few Thors. And it was the armor upgrade on the Thors really that did it for them.
Yeah, that plus some SCVs repairing. It's pretty deadly, especially when you're stacked up and a couple Thors are out. So a little bit of a misstep there by Su. Yeah, he was trying to actually just win the game right at that moment. If he had chosen maybe a little bit more wisely, he could have perhaps just flown into the main base and just made the Thors run out. Because Thors, as we see here, they are so slow and clunky.
Yeah, they really are. They are so deadly against mutalisks with no carapace, with all of the attack upgrades they have. They're at +3 right now. He's switching into more tanks now as he expects more roaches to come out because all the mutalisks lost. Muta's on the prowl still, trying to come back here and assault this 3rd base again. Turret's a little bit too slow, but there's a Thor here, and I don't think he's going to stick around. Ooh, especially with that stack.
Yeah, these mutas... The +3 attack on Thors, the mutas are like basically useless right now, other than running away and staying away from the Thors. And in fact, Maru's starting a push again, but even if he kills one of these bases, let's say, I don't think it's that big a deal for Su yet. Look at how many bases he has on this map. He's up to 6.
Yeah, he has an incredible income in minerals right now, for example, and as soon as he gets more extractors up at his base to the bottom right, and even the base next to his natural, could get a few more gas up there. He's going to have such a great gas income. And he's trying to build a little bit of a bank here. He's also getting insane upgrades out. +2 for his mutalists, 3-3.
Look at those Thors stuck behind the siege tanks.
He's not paying attention.
Yeah, these mutas are doing way more damage than they should be with the Thors being that close by.
You can even get another tech lab here.
Quite annoying, but tech labs do build quickly, so I don't think it's really the biggest deal. And he's switching into an Ultralisk Cavern, which I have to say I quite like. When you're forcing this many Thors out of someone, Ultras are going to do very, very well.
Yeah, and it's just the thing about Zerg is when you add a tech structure like this, you don't even have to use it, but it's there for you. Look at all the scans Maru's dropping down. He really wants to identify the drone counts, how many gas are up, and also if there's any hidden tech, because he knows that his composition is not switchable, it's not flexible. He has to build basically what he thinks is a catch-all. That's how mech usually works against Zerg. You try to make this catch-all composition that works against almost everything, while the Zerg is trying to counter you.
That is very true indeed. These mutas coming in, going after those tech labs once again. He's just trying to slow him down at the moment. He does realize that, you know what, Maru is getting up to a really, really good composition. Even though Su took a gigantic lead early on with the Mutalist switch, the game is not over yet. Maru can get a composition that is so cost efficient that his army just dies 2-3 times.
Oh, look at this. He's actually just going in with the ground army right now. He knows the army is sieging up the other location, so he's going to take some of these SCVs out here. Maybe even some of the siege tanks, a little bit overzealous going in on those, and he doesn't really get the Thor here.
Yeah, that Thor just being an absolute hero with these SCVs, and in fact, he will clean up this army of Su. But Su has so much money that he can just remake a new army now.
Yeah, and that's exactly how Zerg wants to play this. He has 6,000 minerals, 2,500 gas, and he can make whatever he wants. The choice is his. He's losing a lot of mutas here. On the other hand, look at the supply. He's just waiting to make those units.
And he actually started 2 mutas, which is kind of interesting. I feel like he was like, oh, are there no Thors? And started a couple, and he's like, wait a minute, I should really check. And there are, so he's going to stay on just those 2.
Yep. And 6 Ultralisks being made, 11 Hydralisks as well. Ultra's going to be really tanky for those Hydras. But I like Maru's position now because he's going to start to slowly push into these bases. The 4th base, or I guess 5th base he's taking, the base to the top left, is going to be really secure for him. There's not really a whole lot that Su can do to attack, especially now that he's lost his Mulus.
Well, you know what? He does have a few Vipers out, so when those Vipers come over and start casting some Blinding Clouds, that is really going to help with this Hydralisk Ultralisk composition. They're going to be able to get right in on top of everything, barely being attacked.
Yeah, these roaches actually might do some damage here. Just being ignored right now, but 2 starports being made right now from Maru. What do you think those are for? Just Vikings because he expects Broodlords, or do you think he's maybe going to add some Ravens, or is he actually thinking about BCs?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't be surprised if he does add a few Ravens, but that's kind of weird here. I feel like he's expecting Broodlords. That's the first thing that pops into my mind.
And now he sees the Ultras. I mean, he saw a little bit of them before, actually, before he started the Stormers. Did he cancel those? I think he actually just canceled those.
Yeah, I think he realizes at this point. Actually, I don't know. I think he did finish them.
Okay, well, it's always good to have them. Yeah,
he has 3, so... Is that 8 orbitals? Wow.
Yeah, he's made a lot of extra command centers, so he's always got that mineral income, and he keeps his army supply high because he only has 57 SCVs.
Yeah. It's a smart move. And now that he has those extra starports, and don't forget the Vikings, of course, with this new patch, have insanely good upgrades, the Greater Spire does start. So he's ready for that transition that he knows will eventually come, because at this point, with his ground army being so strong, as long as he stays in a turtley position, you kind of have to go for either Broodlords or, you know, maybe Swarmos.
Right, yeah. Well, the Ravens here, he's going to be able to do several things. He can use Point Defense Drone against the Hydralisks and also Corruptors later on. He can use it to clear up creep without having to use all these scans. He can use more mules if he wants to, or he can use the scans to try to identify his opponent's unit's location rather than actually just scanning and killing tumors. But the Secret Missile can also be good depending on how it's executed.
And you know what else? Just having Ravens in a game that might go super, super long is smart, because over time, spellcasters gain more and more cost efficiency. Yep. If you just keep casting spells, that's going to be very beneficial as the game goes towards like a mined out map, let's say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have Overlord drops on the way too. So
that's cool.
This could be for so many different things, including trying to drop Roaches and Hydras. If Blinding Cloud goes down here, and he's trying to actually advance upon this position. There's no planetary or anything like that.
Well, some more Siege Tanks coming in and sieging up, so he will have to run out of here. This is a very nice position for Maru. He's defending just so well here. There's not a whole lot that can be done.
Yeah. Neural Parasite being researched, I like that, so you can grab some Thors with that and control those. The Vipers are really being zoned out by the Vikings right now, so they can get 1 or 2 Blinding Clouds, but never enough.
And you know what? The Blinding Clouds are helping out quite a bit, but still, this is a gigantic army for Maru with just so much damage output. And Su just continues to lose units, but he's at almost 10,000 minerals and 4,000 gas. So it's kind of okay for him to lose army.
Yeah.
Because he's got so much creep, he's going to see anything coming, and he can always remake whatever he wants.
I think he's trying to decide what it is that he wants right now. I mean, he's got so much larva, and he's just trying to identify, okay, what would be the best thing to make right now against Maru to throw him off here. And that's oftentimes how you play this against him. That one Ultra went the wrong way, but he tanked some shots. Now these Siege Tanks will fall. One Orbital looks like it's going to go down as well. Here's the PDD.
And looks like he might get... No, doesn't quite get that last Siege Tank or Command Center. But you know what? I think that's right, Wolf. He's got almost no units right now, but he's just kind of chilling, figuring out exactly what he wants. And it looks like it's
the choice.
26 mutas. That's a lot of Thors, man.
Yeah. And there's also all the Ravens.
He
and the
literally,
Vikings.
yeah, he literally cannot engage our army even for 1 second. Like, one volley from 6+3 Thors and maybe, you know, the Vikings, and I mean, just even the Ravens with those seeker missiles is pretty scary. But if he can completely stay away from the Thors, he can go and kill all the factories and stuff like that. 26 mutas with, I believe they have +2 attack.
And +1 carapace as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to kill all the buildings extremely quickly. And
you can also try to snipe CCs if he can catch the army off guard. Okay, the Mulus switch has been spotted now. And he's actually going to lose quite a few SCVs here. Maybe the CC. There's no repair.
well, as long as he stays away from these Thors, that is the really, really important part here. Ooh. Oh, that's a big volley. And
ouch, I don't think this is worth it. Why is he staying here?
Oh, that was a lot lost.
And the missiles will not connect. Yeah. But I don't think that was worth it.
Well, at least he did kill a command center. The thing is, we already saw there was 10 out on the map total, so he's easily going to be able to go over and mine from that again. But if Su can do that 3-4 more times, and suddenly these mutas are worth it. The thing is, Maru now knows that no matter what, his army composition is not going to lose at this moment.
Yeah, the army will never lose. And I think what he's thinking maybe is if he can actually get a defense up at home, he can just move out across the map, save some Thors at home, and then maybe make some turrets. He has building armor up, 4 Thors started. I think he's basically just going to use the rallied Thors to try to defend his base, and he's going to go for the push to try to end the game right now.
Well, that may end up working. You know, he's actually about to get building armor even, which is going to help out against this Mutilous Harassment. And this big attack is just so scary. But we do have Ultras and Infestors on the way.
But not anymore after the Overlords are killed. He actually doesn't have enough Overlords to make any more units after the 6 Ultras that we have here. So that could become a big problem as well. Losing so many drones here. This base is under siege, being forced to lose mining time.
We also do have some Corruptors mixed in here. The Corruptor's really not going to be all that useful. I feel like even Broodlords right now are not going to do anything. This composition from Maru is so scary, and he's even ready to switch into BCs as we see.
Yeah, at least for a little bit longer here, unless the Mutalists do target that down.
His money's getting a little bit low to try something like that.
That's also true. And I think what Su is recognizing here is that he's built up such a bank. Yes, his banking gas isn't incredible right now, but he's built a bank, and he wants to try to hold on, wear Maru down, kill all of his structures little by little, kill those bases that he's mining from.
Yeah, if he can just utilize these Infestors a little bit, fly around with the Mutas a little while longer, and somehow section off pieces of this army, he can definitely win this game.
And don't forget, Su's army is stronger than any Zerg's army would ever be in a normal game because he's down to 18 drones. He has 144 army supply. That is so much.
That is a huge amount of army supply, especially at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I don't even know how many Ultralists he has, but I think he might even have over 10 with these next 4 coming out.
Yeah, I believe he does, actually. I think he's actually going up to 13 Ultras after these 5 pop.
He's just got to be careful, though, because the position for Maru is already so good. He's already got the concave here. He's already sieged up. Secret missiles on everything here. The Thor shots are decent. And oh, my God.
Well, that,
what a finish.
What just happened right there? Absolute madness. Looks like these Ultras not going to quite be able to clean everything up. Even the Vikings landing right now. And Su looking sad.
Chi, you know, he was stuck with his army there. He couldn't get his army out of his base, and he realized that eventually he was starting to lose Ultras to siege tank fire. He had to go for something, but Maru was set up in the perfect position. Ravens ready to fire, Vikings with the arc, siege tanks on the low ground.
That was a very enjoyable game for me.
It really was. You know, it was like, I feel like it was real-time strategy plus chess plus rock, paper, scissors.
Something like that. You know, I really love the first banking and getting these Overlords up and then just switching into a bunch of mutas to kill off the first army that only had 3 of the, 6 Thors with it. I thought that was just a fantastic move. The last Mutalist tech switch was a little bit harder for me to deal with.
Yeah, I felt like maybe trying to switch into Broodlords at that moment could have worked for him to zone.
It's a hard choice, though, too, right? Because he has a bunch of Ravens and he has a bunch of Vikings already with these fantastic upgrades.
And against Meg, especially with that many siege tanks and the Thors and all those upgrades, it's hard to use Ultralists well if the tanks are sieged.
That map can be very difficult to attack. And we saw that from Su time and time again. He had really nice armies, but Maru knew just how to turtle the map, and with all those ramps and hills, siege tanks and Thors are going to reign supreme.
Remember what I said before we got into this series at all? I said the winner of this first game gets so much momentum. Look at Maru's face and look at Su's face. Su looks crushed. He looks actually demotivated by this game. His coach is trying to talk to him right now to get him motivated. And Maru's coach in the booth saying, good job, man. Do what you're going to do on game number 2. That was excellent what you did right there. So Maru's got all the momentum on his shoulders right now. Su, I think he's going to try to figure something out here. Obviously, it's going to be, I think it gets a different composition on Whirlwind, but he just doesn't want to let this loss get into his head too much.
Yeah, I don't think Maru's going to go mech here, so maybe that helps him out a little bit. But you know what? This is one of Su's worst maps, as we saw, statistically speaking, going into this. So that could play a factor here as well. The thing is, he needs to not be too down on himself about that last map. That map can be hard. You get late game there as Terran, and what is Zerg exactly supposed to do?
Yeah, that was what the problem was. He just didn't know exactly what he was going to do. It's almost like he needed a financial accountant to help him figure out what he was supposed to spend his money on.
The thing is, the map, it feels really small in the late game. And I do like that he got like the drops and stuff. Maybe he could have tried something with that, but that takes a lot of time to execute. And Maru was very quick to counterattack hatcheries anytime that he thought that Su was sitting back trying to plan anything.
And he had all the air control with those Vikings all the time to shut down drops. Well, let's go into game number 2 on Whirlwind. Su's worst map. Can he tie up the series? Will Morrow take a quick 2-0 lead here at the 2013 HOT6ix CUP? Casted by Wolf and Artosis.